Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, April 1st, 2019. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Everyone must pay their fair share of taxes, and the government continues to make concrete efforts to close several loopholes which continue to be exploited. This was pointed out in Parliament today during the presentation of the Income Tax Amendment Bill tabled by Minister of Finance Camilo Gonsalves. Minister Gonsalves said following the 2018 budget presentation, the Inland Revenue Department was engaged in activities to boost overall compliance. He said several loopholes were identified, which multinational conglomerates continue to exploit, and speak on how the amendment will address this issue of taxation.
A company is deemed resident for tax purposes if incorporated outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is managed and controlled in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But under the current definition, an external company registered in the state for purposes of carrying out business within the state may argue that its overseas head office is actually managing and controlling branch operations in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Therefore, its local branch cannot be deemed resident in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It would then be a question of fact regarding the level of autonomy held by the local branch in respect of its operations carried on within the state, which can be manipulated or certainly argued by the branch in order to show that it has a full dependency on the overseas head office. Consequently, the amendments seek to sufficiently tighten the definition of resident in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in order to close these gaps as they have arisen in the interpretation of these actions by multinationals that have branch offices here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Minister Gonsalves said managerial charges is also an area of concern. He said the previous provisions were narrow in scope and allowed for companies to find ways to avoid paying taxes. Minister Gonsalves further explained how the amendment to Income Tax Bill 2019 will seek to close the loopholes.
Tax planners have sought to hide management charges within a myriad of terminologies that do not fall within the existing definition. So because the definition of management charges is very precise in what it listed as a management charge, they come up with ever crafty, ever new definitions to say, no, that's not a management charge, that is some other charge not covered by the Act. The amendments therefore have effectively widened the definition of management charges to encompass any administrative or technical services costs or any cost allocation charged from a related person or company or head office. As a consequence, the amendments also include a definition of related persons inserted within the Interpretation Act to accommodate the revised definition of management charges. Furthermore, the amendments have the effect of placing the burden of proof of the legitimacy of a related party transaction with a non-resident on the resident taxpayer reporting the transaction. So it clarifies where the burden of proof would lay in that case.
The Finance Minister said the amendment will also allow the taxation of remote services.
Additionally, the current wording of Section 10(1)(g) of the Income Tax Act allows, again, for a rather narrow interpretation that seeks to suggest that management services are required to be provided in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for those services to be taxed. Indeed, to avoid paying withholding taxes, taxpayers have been aggressively arguing that the management services provided by non-resident persons were not provided in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They were provided elsewhere and therefore should not be subject to withholding tax, consistent with that narrow interpretation of the provision. Especially with advancement of technology, whereby business communications and the provision of services are often carried out remotely, it is more often than not that management services are provided without the service provider being physically present within St. Vincent and the Grenadines, even though its services are provided in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Therefore, in keeping with these modern trends, the amendment to Section 10(1)(g) has eliminated any reference to management services charges being provided in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, so as to conclusively allow for remote services to be taxable.
Meanwhile, opposition MPs for West Kingstown, Cummings, and Central Kingstown, Leacock, while agreeing that everyone must pay their fair share of taxes, highlighted their own areas of concern. MP for West Kingston, Cummings, said while tightening of loopholes is important, the government must not be solely fixated on squeezing tax money out of companies. He said they must examine incentives to encourage investment opportunities for the country.
There are a number of companies that were based on Beckwith, for example, that provided different services to the yachting sector. And my information is that several of them subsequently pulled up shop and went over to St. Lucia, some to Grenada. I say that, Mr. Speaker, to relate it to the earlier comment I made about the consequences of our actions. But, Mr. Speaker, to my mind, and in my humble opinion, even more important than trying to squeeze out every last ounce of tax from companies, I believe it were more important for us to look at creating incentives of whatever form to encourage these companies either to expand or to reinvest, and to encourage other companies that would want to come to our territory.
Cummings also spoke of his concern with the provision in the bill which will mandate a company to provide information to the Inland Revenue Department. He said this is a powerful tool and must be used judiciously.
And I've heard the Honourable Minister refer to this question of the burden of proof. I heard him in his presentation, and therein lies my concern, and I would like to know, because you see, Mr. Speaker, I'm very cautious again, you know. I say, I understand the need to use this kind of tool for the Income Tax Department to be effective. In fact, I am aware that in some countries, if you go about the country showing off a lot of wealth, and you're not known to have a job, you're not known to have a bona fide source of income, the state moves in, seizes it, and places the onus on you to prove where you got the resources. That is a very useful tool if carefully used.
Meanwhile, opposition MP for Central Kingstown, Leacock, said he is concerned that SVG's interest rate on its debt and amortization is running faster than the tax revenue. He said while the country recorded an increase in tax revenue, there is also an increase in the interest payment on its debt, a situation he finds worrying.
This year it is 568. We are taking in an additional $36 million to run the affairs of the state. Last year, interest payment was $62 million. This year it is $68. So it has jumped by $6 million. So we still have a little fat, we would believe, of 30. Because the revenue is 36, the interest went up by 6. So let's say it eats up $6 million of that. But look at the amortization figure. Last year it was 137. This year it is 190. You don't even have to do the maths. In other words, the increase in revenue projected is not even sufficient to take care of the increase in interest and amortization. I hope I'm being followed carefully. Put another way, interest and amortization is still running faster than tax revenue. As Senator Bruce would say, we're playing catch up. We're playing catch up.
Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves accused the opposition MPs of providing aid and comfort to those who wish to avoid paying their fair share of taxes. Addressing the concerns outlined by the opposition MPs, the Prime Minister took the opportunity to share what he called his interpretation of the statement made by MP for West Kingstown, Denzil Cummings.
To say, rather than squeezing tax, every ounce of tax from them, get them to expand, and use as an example something quite irrelevant really about yachting fees, which I'm not going to be detained by with a sideshow. The point is this, Mr. Speaker, is that the thrust of his argument, as I understood it, there was a genuflection, but he proceeded by the query he raised, and the conclusion he arrived at was to say, you see this bill? You're hoping to collect more money from these big companies with cross-border activities. You may well find them going elsewhere, or you may find them slimming down, and you collect less money. That is the thesis, Mr. Speaker.
But a caution is not an opposition, though.
Mr. Speaker, I am giving my interpretation as to what he said.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
But he proceeded to swiftly depart from that genuflection, and by their comments, providing aid and comfort to those who would wish not to pay their fair share of taxes.
The Prime Minister was also quick to respond to the concern relating to the provision in the amendment to the bill, which mandates information from the taxpayer.
Matter of which the Honourable Minister of Finance spoke about the person has to prove what they are certain, the company that is, or the person, is in relation to a narrow area which hitherto they were able to get away with. It doesn't have anything to do with Tom, Dick and Harry, who has a company in Connery, Georgetown, Beckway, Chateaubelair, or Sharps. So I just want to put that at rest completely.
Addressing the concern of the Central Kingstown MP Sinclair Leacock relating to the debt interest payment and the tax revenue, PM Gonsalves said many countries have similar situation.
The EU countries have more tax revenue as a percentage of GDP than St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They may also find it strange that among the 15 countries with the highest taxes in the world, I'm not talking now about tax revenue as a percentage of GDP, I'm talking about absolute tax rates, are among some of the most developed countries in the world.
Norway, Sweden, Denmark,
Sweden, Portugal, Japan, Denmark, Austria, Belgium, Netherlands, Finland, France, Israel, Slovenia, Italy, Greece, Ireland, Germany. Germany is number 15. I'm not manipulating stats. All I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, that different countries evolve in different ways.
Chairman of the Regional Security System, the RSS Council of Ministers, Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves, will welcome his regional counterparts from Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis and St. Lucia for the annual Council of Ministers meeting. The meeting will convene at the Beachcombers Hotel on Friday, April 5th, 2019, commencing at 9:30 a.m. with an official opening ceremony. Remarks will be delivered by representatives from the Embassy of the United States in Barbados, the European Union and the Regional Security System. The featured address will be delivered by Prime Minister Gonsalves, who holds the portfolio as Minister of National Security. Several critical regional security issues are listed for discussion, along with the signing of 2 memorandums of understanding at the meeting. As a prelude to the Council of Ministers meeting, the Regional Security System Security Chiefs, which comprises of Commissioners of Police and heads of the Defense Forces in the RSS member states, will convene their annual meeting at the same venue under the chairmanship of Commissioner of Police Colin John. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, will host a month of activities to commemorate the 40th anniversary since the last eruption of the La Soufrière volcano. The activities will be conducted during the period of April 4th to May 4th and will focus on community preparedness for a volcanic eruption and sensitizing the public about the volcanic emergency evacuation aspect of the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief HADR component of the Trade Winds Exercise 2019. The activities for the 40th anniversary of the eruption of the La Soufrière will be conducted in collaboration with the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, the UWI-SRC, with support from the Soufrière Monitoring Unit, the SMU, and the Forestry Division. NEMO said the activities to commemorate the 40th anniversary will be officially launched during a Soufrière blowout exhibition scheduled to take place April 12th at the car park next to the Postal Corporation building in Kingstown. Following that activity, there will be a public educational field trip to La Soufrière volcano from the leeward side of the island on April 13th. On April 14th, there will be a radio program which will focus on monitoring of the volcano over the last 40 years. The other activities planned include a schools exhibition, art workshops, and communities evacuation planning. Director of the first ever Hairuna Film Festival, Aiko Rudette, said she is looking forward to doing more to facilitate the growth of filmmaking and the visual arts here in SVG. Rudette was speaking at the closing of the festival at Float Beach Bar on Saturday night. The festival, which began on the 22nd of March at Caliapo, featured open screening of local and regional films in various communities across the country. Speaking at the closing, Rudette said the festival was able to draw a diverse crowd while creating a unique and sustainable platform for local and regional filmmakers to display their work.
For Vincentian filmmakers to show their work stimulates and inspires them to continue producing things. It builds connections, it creates the groundwork for something strong and sustainable to grow. We're also aiming just to have a unique, fun event that people can come to. You can bring your family to, something new for people to do. And we really want to bring St. Vincent into this wave of filmmaking that's happening throughout the Caribbean. Right now there's a lot of films that are coming out of the Caribbean right now. There's different educational programs that are popping up. There's different opportunities for funding and what's not. So we're trying to bring St. Vincent into all of that, create opportunities for local people here, not only just to create films and culture, but also to provide jobs, because on a film set, you know, you need everybody from chefs to carpenters to drivers to all kinds of people. You need movers and stuff, so it really is a viable economic option if it becomes developed properly. So we're trying to contribute.
Rudette said she is hoping to make the festival an annual event and looks forward to creating more avenues to improve the capacity of local filmmakers.
Our plans for the future is that we definitely want to develop the festival further. So we want to, we intend for it to be an annual event, and as it expands, we want to start including workshops and seminars and sort of educational opportunities that young filmmakers can get into, script writing and those kinds of things. We hope eventually to be able to also bring more filmmakers from other countries so they can come here and share their expertise, their experience, their knowledge with Vincentian filmmakers. So the idea is that it's an annual event, but we always want to maintain that it's open air, that it's free, and that it's community based. And we try to reach as many people as possible. We also want to take things down the Grenadines as well, because you know they're as important as the mainland too, so we don't want to leave anybody out.
One local filmmaker, Jadiel Foster, who created a documentary on his community of redemption shops, had some words of encouragement for his colleagues.
As a new filmmaker in the business, I would encourage younger, people who are now coming into this field to work hard, stay focused. Don't make anything get into your way, and make sure that you practice. You have a phone, you have any device that is recordable. You make sure you record, practice, and this is what actually makes you get better at what you do. So make sure you practice.
Meanwhile, some of the patrons and original filmmakers who attended the closing ceremony on Sunday shared their views on the Hairuna Film Festival.
From what I saw, I was completely impressed. I think that the quality, not just in the filming, also in the acting, was very great. This is the first time I'm experiencing short films, and I actually like the suspense that it ends with, and it helps you to think further as to where is it going to go after this.
This particular film festival, what it does is it's all about these screenings, taking these screens, the movies into the community and letting people watch them, and over time building that connection that will take film to that next level here on this island. So it's really, really good, and you don't get that stuff overseas, so congratulations, St. Vincent.
And each of the screening locations were amazing, all different vibes, different films. It was a really great thing for St. Vincent, so I'm looking forward to the next one. If you didn't come out to see it, you missed out.
We enjoyed, especially last weekend, Saturday night was really good as well. Seeing Vincentian filmmakers come out, and I think that it's something that I believe, I really hope that they have it next year again. It's really inspiring to see so many creatives from not only from the Caribbean but also from St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well.
Being here in St. Vincent is a wonderful experience compared to all the other festivals we've done locally in Trinidad, because the locations are all on the beaches, and it's like a community feeling rather than a big cinema vibe, because that's what we get locally in Trinidad.
It was really good to see something like this happening in Vinci, where we were using art and filmmaking to send messages and help people to socialize and come out. And the last film festivals were very awesome because people came out and they enjoyed the films, especially one of my favorites was Shark Drop, because it was so good.